Vision. Intelligence. Arsenal's midfield is packed with these traits, but there's one crucial element still missing: control. Even though they've been performing exceptionally well this season, even without their midfield maestro Odegaard, it's clear they haven't hit their peak yet. But there's one player Arteta hasn't unleashed enough yet, and he might be the missing piece to make Arsenal truly unstoppable. And guess what? Even the player himself said it.
Well, you never know. Hopefully soon. But yeah, I have still some things to do at the physical level, at the technical level. Obviously at the tactical level, there's a lot of things different from my old club. So it's just a process. I'm doing the best that I can to speed it up, and all the staff and the whole club is helping me a lot. And as I said, hopefully it's going to be soon.
But can this player add something to Arsenal's midfield that is missing? Well, let's talk about it.
For the fans, like always, thanks for the support, even in the bad times. Thank you.
You see, when Xhaka left Arsenal, it wasn't just a player moving on. It was like the heart of the midfield went with him. I know Xhaka had his ups and downs at the club, but let's be real, he was a rock for us. Remember those games where he was just bossing the midfield? His leadership, his ability to control the tempo, and those diagonal passes out to the wings that just stretched the opposition. Yeah, we lost all of that when he packed his bags and headed to Leverkusen. And honestly, since he's left, we felt it. Sure, we bought in Kai Havertz, and let's not kid ourselves, that signing got a lot of people buzzing. The idea was that Havertz could be the creative solution we needed in midfield, filling that Xhaka-sized void. But here's the thing, Arteta quickly realised Havertz isn't your typical Xhaka replacement. Havertz is way more effective playing higher up the pitch, almost like a free-roaming forward. And to be fair, when he's in that advanced role, he's dangerous. His off-the-ball movement and ability to find pockets of space make him a real threat, and let's face it, we can't expect him to sit deep, break up play and command the midfield as Xhaka did. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Without Xhaka, we've seen moments in games where we're just lacking that real midfield enforcer. Someone who can make the tackles, dictate play, and provide that balance between attack and defense. Sure, we've got Declan Rice, and he's been fantastic, don't get me wrong, but even Rice needs a partner who can do the dirty work and link up the play in the right moments. And that's where Mikel Merino comes in. Xhaka gave us that grit, that passion, that ability to not only break up opposition attacks, but also kickstart our moves. Merino? He can do all of that and more. Merino is the guy who can step in and fill that gap, but not just as a stopgap. He's more than just a replacement. He's an upgrade in so many ways. It's like we're not just replacing Xhaka. We're evolving that role to be even more effective for Arteta's system. But who is Merino? Merino's story starts in Spain. He came up through the ranks at Osasuna, which is like one of those clubs that quietly produces some seriously solid players. He made his professional debut there at just 18, and right off the bat, you could see this wasn't just some average midfielder. He had this composure on the ball and a natural feel for the game. I mean, we're talking about a kid who looked like he'd been playing at the top level for years. Then in 2016, Borussia Dortmund came knocking, and you know how it is when a Spanish youngster moves to a big German club. There's always a lot of hype. But here's the thing, he didn't get a fair shot at Dortmund. He was young and he joined when the midfield was stacked with talent. I mean, they had Götze and Royce in the midfield, so he didn't get the minutes he deserved. It wasn't a failure though, just one of those situations where it's hard to break through when you've got so many other big names ahead of you. After Dortmund, he made the move to Newcastle United in 2017, and this is where it gets interesting. The Premier League is no joke. It's a test for any player, especially someone still trying to establish themselves. And while his time at Newcastle was short, he showed flashes of brilliance, those glimpses where you could see he had something special. He had this calmness on the ball and could pick out passes that not many others could. But for whatever reason, it didn't quite click long-term in England. Maybe it was the system, maybe it was the timing, who knows. But here's where Merino found his groove. When he moved back to Spain to join Real Sociedad. This is where he's truly become the player we're talking about today. At Sociedad, Merino has been nothing short of a revelation. He's not just a solid midfielder, he's the engine. He's a guy breaking up plays, controlling possession, and driving the ball forward. And it's not just his defensive work, it's his ability to transition the ball from defense to attack. Something Arsenal desperately needs. Since arriving at Sociedad, he's grown into one of the most underrated midfielders in La Liga. He's got everything: strength, intelligence, vision, and leadership. I mean, the guy can dominate the midfield, shield the defense, and then, in the same breath, ping a perfect long ball to start an attack. He's got that all-round game that makes him such a valuable asset. What's wild is that Merino has been so good for Sociedad that people in Spain have been calling for him to be a regular for the national team. And let's be real, getting into the Spain squad is no easy task. You've got to be elite to make that midfield, considering the depth they've always had. But Merino's been putting in performances that have forced people to sit up and take notice. So yeah, that's Merino's journey. He's gone from Osasuna's young start at Dortmund's bench, a brief spell at Newcastle, and now one of La Liga's top midfielders at Real Sociedad. And the best part? He's only 27. He's entering his prime right now, which is why it makes perfect sense for Arsenal to bring him in and make him a key part of Arteta's project. It's like we're getting a player who's been through the ups and downs, learned the game, and is ready to shine on the biggest stage. Honestly, if Arteta starts playing Merino, we're not just filling a gap, we're adding a player who could elevate this entire Arsenal team. A player who has been waiting for that next big step, and Arsenal could be the perfect place for him to take it. But the main question is, why did Arteta want Merino? But before we answer that, please take a few minutes to subscribe to the channel. We have a goal to hit 10k before the end of the year, and we can only do that with your help. Thank you. Well, think about it. Arsenal had a great season, but they lacked depth in crucial moments. When Arteta needed to make changes, he was left turning to the likes of Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, and El Neni. No disrespect, but it's not quite the same as having someone combative and technically gifted like Merino. This guy wins duels like nobody's business. I mean, last season in La Liga, he contested 581 duels, which was the second most in the entire league. And the crazy part? He won over half of them. Arteta loves players who can dominate physically, and Merino is one of the best in the world when it comes to aerial duels. He was the only player in Europe's top 5 leagues to win more than 300 aerial duels last season. That's like having a cheat code for set pieces. Imagine adding that weapon to Arsenal's already strong set-piece game. It's clear why Arteta is all about this signing, but it's not just about winning battles. Merino's passing accuracy and vision make him a bit of a deep-lying playmaker. Sure, he's not as progressive with his passing as, say, Jorginho, but don't let those numbers fool you. He's played in a system at Real Sociedad where his role was different. And in terms of defensive contributions, Merino is top tier at breaking up opposition plays, making tackles, and positioning himself well to intercept the ball. This dude can create in the final third, so you're not losing much if you stick him further up the pitch. In some games, Arteta can even drop Declan Rice deeper and let Merino take that left-sided number 8 role. Honestly, it's like having a Swiss Army knife in midfield. He's versatile, tough, and smart. And he doesn't just add depth, he adds options and quality across multiple positions. And let's not forget, Arsenal needs to keep pushing City for the title. You can't do that without quality options across the bench, and that's what Merino brings. So yeah, Merino's a steal of 40 million. Ever since his signing, we've all been waiting to see Mikel Merino in action. And well, it finally happened. He made his debut against PSG, and honestly, it was pretty impressive. Arsenal cruised to a comfortable win at the Emirates, but the big talking point? Yeah, it was Merino stepping onto the pitch in that famous red and white for the first time. Arsenal had this game in the bag early on with 2 beautiful first-half goals. The second half was more about keeping things under control, and PSG didn't get any clear-cut chances. But when Merino came on in the 64th minute, the momentum was shifting slightly toward PSG, and you know what? His introduction couldn't have come at a better time. First off, let's talk about his positioning. Merino slotted into that left centre mid role, but make no mistake, this guy isn't your typical defensive midfielder. Sure, he dropped deep alongside Declan Rice when needed, especially when Arsenal were defending in a low block, but Merino's real strength lies in his ability to mix it up. He's the kind of player who can win the ball back with ease. He is a 6'2" powerhouse after all, but also gets forward and makes things happen in attack. One of the first things that stood out was his physicality. Within minutes, he was muscling PSG players off the ball and making clean tackles. There was this one moment where he owned Hakimi in the box, winning the ball back and clearing it like a pro. You could see the confidence for a debut with only 2 training sessions under his belt. That's wild. But it wasn't just his defensive work that caught the eye. His awareness of the ball was top-notch. Even under pressure, he was comfortable shifting the ball around and making smart, simple passes to keep Arsenal ticking. It's that balance of aggression aggression and calmness that could add another dimension to our midfield. And did I mention his pace? Because wow, for a big guy, he can cover ground, which we've sometimes lacked, especially when Partey pushes forward and gets caught out. Sure, he only made 16 touches and completed 6 out of 7 passes, but his positioning, his pressing, and overall presence on the pitch, it felt like he's been playing with the squad for ages. He didn't do anything too flashy, but he did everything he needed and more. Plus, with him being so good at pressing high and reading the game, I think we'll see him play a much bigger role as the season goes on. He has shown that he can play well, but why should Arteta start him now? First of all, getting him to play from the start will help him get more comfortable with Arsenal's unique style of play. We all know Arsenal has a specific system that can take a while to fully grasp, especially with how intricate some of their movements are. But Merino has already shown with Spain that he's versatile and adaptable. He's been used in different roles for them, so the guy knows how to switch it up and slot into various systems. We need to see that flexibility at Arsenal too. Now here's the exciting part. Other teams are starting to figure out Arsenal's structure a bit, right? They're adapting to it, which means Arteta needs a disruptor. Someone who can shake things up and keep opponents guessing. Merino is exactly that guy. He's capable of playing deeper with someone like Rice, or even pushing forward into more attacking spaces, like we saw in the Nations League for Spain. His ability to operate in both defensive and offensive roles gives Arteta more tactical options, especially when other teams are trying to close us down or predict our movements. Throw Merino in there and suddenly you've got someone who can break those patterns and cause all sorts of trouble for the opposition. I'm seriously hyped about the potential this guy brings. Also, after seeing how he performed in Spain's recent games in the Nation League, where he was making smart runs, distributing passes, and even contributing defensively, it's clear that Merino can slot in anywhere Arteta needs him. Whether it's a double pivot or pushing forward, Merino can handle it. And we'll need that kind of versatility to stay ahead this season. So yeah, I think Arteta should start Merino soon. What do you think? Let him get those minutes, disrupt the opposition, and show everyone what he's capable of. Or what would you do if you were Arteta? Thank you for watching this video. Check out our channel to see how Arsenal is making use of their other superstars to disrupt the Premier League.